Let's consider the purpose of the next 4 booster buttons with the help of the following animation. Each tank is a particular group of the element. This scene contains a layer with the element effect and 3 control null objects which manage the tanks. To add a new additional control object, you should press Create button and move the layer to the position that is more convenient. However, there is another way which is more convenient. You can simply duplicate the layer, select all control layers as well as the layer with the element, and then click on the Bind button. Thus, my tool will rename all control layers according to the name of the element effect. If control layers are not necessary, you can click on the Disconnect button. This removes all binding expressions. Now you can delete the control layers. Why should you delete them? The fact is that you can use footages, images, or precomposes as control layers. In this case, each precompose is a bitmap image. I'm selecting the layers that will become control, finally selecting the layer with the element and click on the Bind button. After doing that, you can switch between 2D mode when only pictures are visible. In this case, the work with the scene is boosted since the raster image is drawn in by the video card faster, and 3D mode to see the element. But before switching, I will disable visibility of one of the control layers. I switch to 3D mode and I see that there are only 4 tanks because the visibility of the 12th layer was turned off. Visibility of the control layer affects the visibility of all its child layers. They can be solid layers, which layers are child layers for control layers, or any other layers, footage in this case, but they can also be precomposes or bitmaps. Their visibility will depend on the visibility of the control layers. However, why they are not visible now? It's because visibility must be turned on or off in 2D mode. What happens if you enable these child layers? After switching for the 3D mode, we see that the visibility of the related child layer is disabled simultaneously. We must switch on visibility of all shots manually because some tanks may not shoot. This rule applies to all types of layers except solid layers. While for the shadows, which are exactly solid layers, everything switches simultaneously. If the tank is visible, its shadow is also visible, and vice versa. I should repeat, for solid layers, everything works simultaneously, and for other types of layers, disabling is simultaneous, but visibility must be enabled manually. It helps to avoid mistakes in your work. So I switch to 2D mode, turn off the visibility of one more layer. When switching to 3D mode, you can see that its shadow is also disabled. The related shot is turned off as well. So as I have said, you must enable visibility of all layers that are not solid layers manually. This is the logic of this tool. You can check the adjustment of visibility of all child objects by decreasing transparency of one of the control layers. It is seen that the shadow becomes more transparent. If you look at the expression of the related third layer with the shot, then you will see that its transparency will also be adjusted. Or it is rather the fourth layer. Transparency of the shot changes according to the transparency of the tank. Let's duplicate all control layers and then duplicate the element. Note that there are 2 effects named element on the layer in the scene. Let's enable unified mode for the second element. Select the duplicated layers and the layer with the element and click on the Bind button. The script will ask which elements these control layers has to be connected with. In your case, it should be connected with the second one. After that, you can move all the tanks to a new position. But I will now put the record on pause because I also want to duplicate shadows and shots. The only condition for the script to start processing them is that they should have these added control layers as their parents. So I have parent layers for control layers of all duplicated shots and for all duplicated shadows. Now you can switch to modes 2D and 3D and see that the shadows have been renamed accordingly to the names of the control layers. Now I can select the control images in mode 2D, move them in front of, and I get additional functionality. After switching to the 3D mode, you see the result.